Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So all the snowmobile manufacturers have released their new sleds for next year, 2024. I want to order a new sled for next year, and I want it to be a fun sled. So let's look at my top choices from Skidoo, Lynx, Arctic Cat, and Polaris. Stick around to the end to see which one I go with. Are you going to order a new sled for next year? If so, which one? Put your answer in the comments below.
If you haven't listened to the Snow West Show podcast, I'd highly recommend it. Especially episode 12 with Carl Kuster, Dave Nerona, Blaine Matthews, and Jay Menenberry. It was just a really good listen. Sounds like they had a lot of fun making that episode. After listening to their podcast about the Arctic Cat Catalyst, it sounds like the Catalyst is a pretty fun sled, even with the 600 in it. And they all agreed that the 3-inch track was the way to go. So for an M600 Alpha 1 Catalyst, we're looking at $17,624. So would I ride a Catalyst? You bet. Here's some of the sleds I've ridden over the years. My dad and I would always go riding, and I'd just ride whatever sled my mom had at the time. The Trail RMK with the 550 fan, a 4-stroke phaser, and eventually an M6. Snowmobiling was always about having fun, and this meant just finding an area with some fresh snow, maybe a feature we could get some air off of, or a long downhill where we could do some powder turns. Sleds have come so far since back in these days, it really doesn't matter what you buy, you're going to find something that's fun to ride, and for us, that's all that matters.
Hey, are you enjoying this video? Give it a like.
In another episode of the Snow West Show podcast, they talked about the different skid options from Skidoo, and even they were getting confused by all the different acronyms that Skidoo uses. But it sounds like the T-Motion XT, which has that solid pivot in the skid, was the way to go. So we're going to go with the FreeRide Turbo R and the 154 track length with the big display. I want to know if the GPS on that display works when you don't have cell service. I know with Polaris and their 7S display, you get full maps and buddy tracking and you do not need cell service. So that's a good safety feature too, especially if you get separated or you're doing a lot of exploring of new terrain like we do. Okay, for a Skidoo FreeRide Turbo R with a 154-inch track, shot starter, 3-inch track, 10.25-inch display, comes in at $25,999. Now let's head on over to Lynx's website. For Lynx, I don't think Snow West has released a dedicated podcast on the new sleds yet, but they have talked about them when they were talking about Skidoo. And it looks like we only have one option here in Canada, and that's the Shredder. We're going to go with the Shredder DS, Turbo R motor, 4100 track length, 10.25-inch display, and the total also comes to $25,999. So in Snow West's latest podcast where they look at the new Polarises, they talk about the new 3.25-inch track, and they had a lot of good things to say about it. So let's build a 9R with that track and make a final decision. So let's head over to Polaris, start their Snow Check sled builder. I have a lot of practice with this. Going 9R. We're going to go 155 track, Series 9. I'm going Army Green, Black Tunnel and Rails. We're going to go with the 7S display and see what the final cost is. Okay, $25,114. Find my preferred dealer. Here it is, Lethbridge Honda out of Lethbridge, Alberta. I have made my decision. Submit. But hold on. I wanted to get a fun sled. Let's go back and take a look at the boost. So I just submitted a snow check request for a 9R. Here's the exact same build in a Polaris boost. Such a tough decision. Let's see what Dan Adams has to say.
Thinks he needs a boost is the 9R. My picks are you're going to have both.
Thank you, Dan, for that advice. That makes this decision way easier. You only YOLO once. Back to Lethbridge Honda. Submit.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. If so, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me, and it's going to help us build a community of riders.
So dealerships only get a handful of 9R and boost allocations. This dealership was already sold out of boosts, but I was able to get a 9R. However, there's a chance they might be able to trade it for a boost, and I won't find out for a bit. So stay tuned and I'll let you know what I get in a future video.
If you want to watch the rest of this video where we make our way into Mac Lake, click the link below. It's pretty good.
You may have hit China.